Welcome to the ANG24 channel. In this video I will be giving you a rundown of what are air realistic battles in War Thunder, introduce you to some of the settings and controls, and provide some very simple things that will set you up on the right path gameplay wise. I will be giving you gameplay examples of the said things throughout the video. Everything will be timestamped, but I do recommend watching the whole video if you are a fresh pilot that is just introducing themselves to the game mode. But without further ado, let's get started. Often the game mode that new players are steered to start with in War Thunder are the arcade battles. In this game mode you will be faced with fast action and many repetitions, as well as gaining general experience of how the aircraft fly in the game. And playing arcade is actually my first tip to anyone who is just starting War Thunder. Myself, I played around 1000 games of arcade before transitioning to realistic battles. Realistic battles are the most popular game modes in War Thunder, as they take features from arcade aspects such as the third-person view, but also include some realistic aspects. Some of the key takeaways include more realistic vehicle performance, so don't be surprised if your aircraft feels more sluggish than it does in arcade games. There is also mandatory takeoff and the absence of the aim assist indicator. Realistic battles also feature larger maps, thus lower gameplay tempo compared to arcade. Weapon reloading, fuel resupplying, and vehicle repairing also mandate landing to the airfield. And perhaps the largest difference to arcade battles is that no respawns happen in this game mode. Once you're shot down, you are out of the match for good. This in turn means that every single kill counts significantly more than it does in any other game mode, giving a single player much larger impact to the end result. This is also quote-unquote the true game mode, and with that I mean that most of the balancing and the game design revolve around it. Some of the default settings that are toggled actively hinder your gameplay performance in air realistic battles, and next I will be going over some of them. First off, you want to turn off the join already ongoing battles, because spawning late can be a significant disadvantage in air realistic battles. Then I would recommend to turn off all the instructor settings, because you want to have the maximum control of your aircraft at all times. Although important, I would not worry about manually controlling your flaps in the first battles either, but the default control to do so is F. However, the gear control is something you need to use in realistic battles whenever landing or taking off. The default key binding for this is G. Also, turn the hold throttle for WEP off. This is when you push your engine RPM on overdrive, providing more power, and it's something you will be using a lot. It does overheat your engine quicker, but if that happens you can simply just tap your S key to decrease your throttle. Another key binding I want to introduce you to right away is your ability to freely look around you by pressing the C key. This is something you should start introducing yourself even if you are a beginner, since the faster you start using it, the more it will start to grow on you. The free look is your most important tool when it comes to maintaining situational awareness. As you can see, it's also possible to control the movement of your plane at the same time with the keyboard, but this is something I will not be stressing too much, since it takes a lot more coordination and is something that you should start learning a little bit later. When you first enter a battle, you are faced with a screen where you can choose what ammunition belts to use, how much fuel should you carry, and the range where your bullets will converge, as well as the options for vertical targeting, which I do recommend to be turned on. Other than that, I generally recommend using air target belts if they are available, as well as taking the minimum amount of fuel as long as it's above, let's say, 10 minutes, because the more fuel you carry, the heavier your aircraft will be. If you are playing a fighter aircraft, I do not recommend taking bombs, because this can significantly hinder your performance in air-to-air combat. As you spawn, the battle starts with you taking off from your airfield. Don't worry about colliding with your teammates on the runway, since the collision hitboxes are only introduced after you take off. The first thing you do after taking off is to pull your landing gear in with the G key. Having your landing gear will not only add drag, but they will also brake at higher speeds. Next, I'm going to give you a tip that will already set you up on having an advantage on many of the other new players, and that's climbing. By pressing the V key a couple of times, you can move your camera position to show the angle of your travel. A good rule of thumb is to set your aircraft to around 12.5 to 15 degrees incline. Keep in mind that the smaller indicator shows the true angle where your aircraft is traveling, and the other one is just where your nose is pointing. This angle is a good balance between maintaining speed and gathering altitude. It's good to move away from the rushing mindset of arcade battles, since there are no second chances in realistic battles and you'd be setting yourself up for a failure by rushing in. Being above someone is one of the biggest advantages in realistic battles with propeller-driven aircraft, since you essentially control the terms of the engagement, as there is no way for someone to reach you with their guns if you are a couple of kilometers above them. And next I will be showing you some textbook gameplay examples of this. In this clip you can see this player pitching up for me, but since he's climbing so aggressively, it's only a matter of time till gravity starts winning the battle, and as that happens I can simply just drop on him and there's not much he can do. As far as shooting goes in realistic battles, you simply need to predict the flight path of your enemy. And while you don't have the aim assist indicator, you do have tracers, and by seeing where they fly, you can correct your aim. The general sweet spot where you will be shooting down enemies is around 300 to 500 meters. Although you can shoot from a little further, be mindful of your ammo count. Shooting too long without stopping will also jam your guns. And remember, the only way you can resupply your ammo or fix your guns is to land on the runway. And if you do happen to survive the early game and are faced with a situation where you are low on ammo or have sustained damage, then you must navigate back to the airfield to resupply your plane. And if there's a situation where you cannot find the remaining enemy aircraft, it might be best to kill some of the AI ground units for some additional research points and silver lions. This will also help your team win the match, since realistic battles will end in one of three ways. Either all players of one team are eliminated. This is the most common way for a battle to be won or lost. The second most common way for a game to end is by tickets. By destroying ground units, bases and aircraft, the bars on top of the screen will bleed, indicating the ticket situation of the team. You can also see the detailed ticket counter by pressing tab. Once these tickets hit 0, the game will end. The third way for a game to end is by the timer running out with some players still alive. In this situation, the team that holds more tickets will win. It's good to remember that really focusing on battles you play will boost your progress, since the better you perform in a battle will have a significant impact on your rewards. But don't get discouraged if you don't get multiple kills right away. Even one kill game is a good result as a beginner, and more often than not you will be getting no kills in your first games, and that's completely normal. After all, the best way to improve is just to play more, but also be mindful of your doings and consider what got kill you each game. Thank you for watching, and comment what would you like to see next.